New phones, bunch of new phones, big time phones, big popular flagship phones. Note 20 and Note 20 Ultra. Yet another device that's not here yet. It's hard to play for Team Canada right now. I got to be honest with you. We're going to have to consider our options, and we might have to head south of the border because whether it's PR teams or I don't know who, it doesn't seem to matter who we're talking to, embargoes and dates and Canadian versions. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, it's a global, this is not Canadian viewership. There are Canadians, shout out Canadians who are viewing this, but it's less than 10%.
Yeah. This
is a global viewership. Get rid of these imaginary borders and imaginary things, at least for media like us on the internet where those boundaries and borders don't exist. We got tons of people watching from the US, shout out to the US, tons of people watching from India, shout out to India, tons of people watching in the UK, shout out to the UK. And I could go on, Will. Australia, I could go on, Will. Malaysia, the Philippines, I could go on, Will. And I want to be clear, I'm not complaining. I get it, it's hard, particularly the way the world is right now. And they're saying, yes, you are complaining. You just complained, Lou. What are you saying? You're not complaining. Well, no, I'm just trying to get the videos out. I mean, that's kind of the job, to get the videos out. And you have the hype around the launch. And then you don't have the thing, and you're excited and interested in it too, just like anybody else would be. And usually, at least with brands like Samsung, I don't need to talk about the relationship with Apple because that's its own thing completely. But with Samsung, usually that wasn't an issue, and certainly with the Pixel, it wasn't an issue. But no one's here to talk about that. We still want to talk about these new phones. And we shall talk about these new phones because they do look interesting. They do excite me, as new phones would and should and do. We have the Note 20 and the Note 20 Ultra. And you know how it goes. You put the Ultra tag on there, Will. You get a gigantic camera, very reminiscent on this device of the S20 Ultra, which is what a lot of people expected because we had seen leaks of these devices. As you're well aware, we've talked about it on this show for that matter. We got the fancy, the copper, bronzy, mystic coloring going on, which I don't know about you. I pay about $1,500 for a mystic color. I don't know about you. We got the S Pen, which is improved in responsiveness. We got Snapdragon. Here's another thing I'm a little bit mad about. We got Snapdragon 865 Plus. Likely only North America. Everyone else gets Exynos, which Samsung says, no, we figured it out. It's going to perform. But then I got to get the messages from people saying, why can't we get the Snapdragon variant? And you see, Will, I listen to the people. I hear the people. So I got to say it. I got to represent them. I got to say what they're saying as well so that Samsung knows. Other people want the option at least. Maybe an option? Maybe would it kill the thing? Something exciting for me, Note 20 Ultra. It's the first with that new Gorilla Glass Victus, which we talked about on the show. Very exciting. Increased durability, increased scratch resistance was the thing that I liked. It's going to have Gorilla Glass Victus on both the front and the back. Both the models are going to be IP68, dust, water. It seems like it's a must at the $1,000 price tag these days. We are going to have a difference in scale. 6.7-inch display on the Note 20. As opposed to a 6.9-inch display, I believe. Is that right? Did I nail that?
That's correct.
6.9-inch display on the Ultra. It's also going to have a much higher resolution display. This doesn't always happen. You scale up the screen. You may not have the highest PPI, but that Ultra model, 3088 by 1440, that's a 494 PPI. And a 92.5% screen-to-body ratio because it has a slightly different layout. Here's an interesting one for you, Will. The Note 20 features a completely flat display with boxy edges. And the Note 20 Ultra, on the other hand, it tries to do the curves. It tries to do the curvy edge to be the more modern and striking appearance. But I know, look, I've met more than one person that gets a little annoyed with these curved screens on the edges. And they like a flat kind of approach. So let me ask you this, Will, is it going to be a Note 20 or a Note 20 Ultra? You look at that.
That's a tough choice. I'm not a big fan of like the big screen,
You don't
the
need,
big phones.
so 6.9 is just too big for you.
Yeah, but I do like the curves.
You like the curves though.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Look, I don't know. It's a tough choice. I tend to just go with the top flagship. The ultimate flagship is what I tend to go for. But I don't know why. There's something appealing to me about the boxy design of the regular Note 20. It would just be impossible for me to go for because on the spec sheet, they of course don't match up. You have a 60 hertz display on the regular model. And
Yeah. What? Why? And a 1080p?
wow, you're really upset. I didn't expect you to be that upset. But yeah, I mean, we're living in a world now where 60 hertz displays are $350 phones.
Uh-huh.
And anything you're spending, even the Nord has a 90 hertz display.
Yes.
And we're seeing 120 and we're seeing gaming phones with 144. Mm-hmm. The ROG phone with the secret 160 hertz. So anything with the Note branding and anything around $1,000, I think you're going to want more than 60 hertz. But hey, look, I hear you. Maybe you don't care. That's fine. But it is a thing that you get used to once you're exposed to it over a period of time. And so it would be hard for me to take a step back when I'm spending this kind of money. Some other differences in specification, I believe the camera department, you have a 108 megapixel sensor for the main camera on the Ultra model, as opposed to a 64 megapixel sensor on the little guy. Mm-hmm. Battery is, of course, going to be a bit bigger on the Ultra. The space zoom a bit bigger on the Ultra. However, less than the space zoom on the S20 Ultra. But as you're well aware, that 100x thing, it was a bit insane anyways.
Yeah.
100x zoom. It wasn't really working. It wasn't really... And you were seeing a major drop-off in performance. If you thought you were going to use 100x zoom on your smartphone, you need to chill out a bit. These things can shoot 8K video at 24 FPS. Doesn't matter. Either one. Either of the two devices. We have 25 watt fast charging and we have 9 watt reverse wireless charging. They're going to be available in different colors. So the regular S20, Mystic Green, Mystic Bronze, Mystic Gray. It's all Mystic, as you can tell.
Yes.
And I believe those are all matte finishes, which you know I'm a fan of. Mm-hmm. You go with the matte finish, you avoid some of the fingerprints. It stays looking better longer, though you know I'm inclined to slap a later case on there anyways. And I'm guessing we probably have a pre-order. I don't know. Maybe we don't have a pre-order yet, but we're definitely going to do the later case for these devices. Mm-hmm. So keep it locked. Go check that out if you want to keep the thinness. It's important actually with devices that are this big. You go slap a hefty case on there and you can't even handle this thing anymore.
Yeah, it's a little too much.
So now the camera hump is fairly beefy. That's a turkey sandwich on the back of the S20 Ultra.
They hide it pretty well here, but
you can just tell.
Sure, in person.
You can just tell. We're going to get our hands on this very shortly, and there will be an unbox therapy video. Don't you worry. I'll do the comparisons. But it seems, look, in 2020, if Samsung's going to call something Ultra, it's going to have a turkey sandwich on the back of it for the cameras. Mm-hmm. If they're going to use the Ultra terminology. And so we should have known, we should have expected it. The colors, by the way, for the Ultra model, Mystic Bronze, Mystic Black, Mystic White. And actually, for the Ultra model, a couple of those variants are going to be glossy instead of matte. So keep that in mind. That's not such a big deal with the white version. Little insider tip here. If you go with the light color phone, your fingerprints are pretty safe. You don't see them. You don't see them. So that's a pro tip from a guy who's handled way too many phones.
I hear you.
Now, pricing, they're pricey. These are premium phones with premium price tags. The Note series always has been with the S Pen and the high spec sheet. Oh, did I mention RAM, by the way? What do we have? 12 gigs? Is that right? We're going to have, where is that? Memory. No, not memory. That's storage. Only 8 gigs of RAM. Interesting. That's an interesting choice as well. We've seen some pretty high RAM spec count on. Are we sure about this? Can we verify this, Will? Only 8 gigs of RAM. I mean, it seems crazy to say, But in 2020, at that price tag, we're used to seeing a higher spec there, for certainly on Android at least. They're not listing the RAM there. I don't know. Maybe, is this one of the things where you completely trust GSM Arena no matter what? You don't, do you?
Yeah, I don't.
You don't. See,
For an Ultra, it has to be, it has to be more than that.
Ultra has to be more than 8 gigs of RAM. Yeah, I would agree with you. So GSM Arena, we found is it busted? This is the beauty. Here we go. We're going, it's a deep dive. We are now on the verge. We need a verification. 8 gigs of RAM. No. Wait a second. That's the regular Note 20.
No, 12 gigs of RAM.
12 gigs of RAM. GSM Arena, we found, somebody needs to jump in there and fix that up, I guess, because we have the wrong spec in there. So yes, 12 gigs of RAM and up to 512 gigs of storage. Unless you get the regular Note, then you have 128 storage to start and 8 gigs of RAM. So anyways, I was right. That was just pure intuition. We could have put the wrong spec on the air here, and it would have been died. Yeah, it would have been an absolute disaster. Can you imagine the comment section? Cool. You call yourself, you claim to be? Sick of it.
We're dead.
We're dead. We might as well. We would just retire if that happened. If we said 8 gigs of RAM instead of 12 gigs, we might as well retire. But anyways, it's 12 gigs of RAM. These are powerhouse phones. What are they going to cost in USD? I see the European figures quoted here.
Should I even go to GSM anymore?
No, GSM is risky, man. 1250 euros or 1,000 euros, 999 USD or 1299 USD. These are not, and that's the entry one, right? That's the 128 storage. You go up to 512 storage, your Note 20 Ultra is going to cost you $1449 in the middle of a pandemic. Well, who's spending $1449 in the middle of a pandemic?
But 9 millisecond response rate on the S Pen.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Show me where to sign over the cash.
Yeah.
These are pricey phones for this time of year. I don't know how they're going to sell because of that. It is a curious one, but the Note series is always going to have that differentiating characteristic of having the pen. If you want the pen, you like the pen, you use the pen, you can have it here, and it's hard to find it elsewhere, so you pay a premium for that. That's not the only thing that Samsung had to talk about, though. They got this Z Fold 2, and I'm arguably more excited about this. I've been up and down on folding devices, and I sort of had come to the conclusion, Will, that we were just in the infancy. Well, I mean, I didn't come to that conclusion. We obviously are in the infancy of foldables, and many people would come to that conclusion. But Samsung, they were able to take what they learned with the original Galaxy Fold and refine it a little bit. Let's be honest. That's what we're looking at here is a refinement in the form of the Z Fold 2. The big takeaway here is the far larger front display when closed in your, what do you call that? Your closed mode, your slab mode, where you're using your device as a regular smartphone. It's still going to be fatter, but you got this way bigger display on the front. That was the characteristic that made the Mate series foldable interesting, is it was able to maintain a large front display where the Galaxy Fold had this tiny little thing. Well, of course, in the presentation, Samsung representative goes on to say, hey, we heard from our customers that they were using that front display far more than we had anticipated. And therefore, we knew we had to scale it up. We knew we had to grow the front display. And that's what they've done here. Now they've packed a tremendous amount of tech into this thing. If you consider just what you have to fit in there, the enormous front display, the enormous interior display, it's all folding together. You got the top of the line specifications. Otherwise, your notch has shrunk down to what they call the Infinity O. You have this tiny little front-facing camera, so it's a better screen-to-body ratio on the inside. They shrunk the hinge, so there's less opportunity for the dust and stuff, which, of course, you had the controversy when the thing first came out. Is this going to be durable enough? So they addressed a little bit of that. The camera module, the cohesiveness with the remainder of the Samsung lineup, like that rear end is looking a lot like this new Note stuff. So it's all coming together for foldables. It certainly is an improvement. Would you agree?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I heard that they added brushes within the hinge to prevent stuff from going in.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
it's
they're
a one
working.
look. It's one way to
working on
learn, isn't it? You put stuff out in the world. You see how people use it. You see what the benefits are and the drawbacks. You see, you're honest about it, and you go back to the drawing board. It's one way to figure out, hey, what happens in the real world, and where are we going to have to make our improvements? Now, another thing to mention about this Z Fold 2 reveal, I had heard from a couple people on Twitter that they hired BTS instead of myself for the unboxing video of the Z Fold, and I think they made a tremendous decision here. There's no way I could replicate this experience here.
No. There can only be one.
Yeah, what they've got going on is just, I can't even begin to approach something like that. I mean, just on the looks alone, I show up there, scruffy old me, in studio. But actually, it is important to note that it has been a bit of a subdued launch because they had to host the digital-only version of the presentation, and I think it was actually being broadcast or recorded in Korea.
Yeah.
But shout out to Austin Evans for calling me out, saying that BTS has replaced me. He's completely correct. And if you look at my reply, where is my reply? It was only a matter of time. That's my reply. With the skull emoji, which is my favorite emoji, but anyone who's been watching the channel for long enough knows that the skull emoji is my favorite emoji. This thing is going to cost, what, $1 billion? How much are you going to pay for a Z Fold 2? Well, $2,000, $2,500. Are we going to have $3,000 phones? What's going on here?
$2,000.
$2,000. Okay. All right. I guess I can.
List the price?
I guess I can live with that. I don't know. I don't think they did list the price. I saw some guesses floating around. That's another one we may have to do a quick search on. If it's just strictly speculation. Z Fold 2 price. See what we come up with here. I don't think they did say a price. Oh, just speculation. Yeah, no, nothing yet. I think $2,000 is pretty close. It might be a little bit more if you look at the original Fold.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's going to be a niche product just because of the price point. But foldables appear to be here to stay, and Samsung continues to improve it. And it's good news for the industry because everybody can look at what Samsung learns here and implement some of these things. And maybe we don't have to give up on our science fiction dreams of pocketable foldables, 7.5-inch screen, big screen on the outside. You got something to say, Will?
No, it's here. I mean, the Fold. It's impressive.
Right.
I'm looking forward to it.
You heard it from Will. Here's another little piece of good news from the presentation. Samsung commits to delivering 3 years of Android OS updates with the Galaxy Note 20. This has been a concern for Android users for a while, particularly those spending the flagship level money on a smartphone. Wait, how long am I getting updates for? And it's actually constantly a point of argument from the iOS camp when they're going head to head, which you can't help it. It just seems to be. I've been doing this long enough to know that that's just going to be a fixture.
I guess with the carriers, they get involved too, right? With the Android updates, or no?
They can, yeah. Carriers can get involved, and companies like Samsung, they do their own modifications to the OS. So even if they agree to the updates, they're not going to come out at the same time. And look, it's been the way it's been. It's been the way it is, and that's Android for you in all of its glory. It has tremendous upside in many cases, and then you have some downside, like the update situation. It's one of the reasons I've always been partial to the Google devices, because you can guarantee you're getting those updates as soon as they hit and the new features that come with it. But anyway, Samsung wants to be clear and just come out front with customers and say, hey, we're going to be a part of that too. And I think that's going to matter to customers. So they're saying 3 years of Android with the Note 20 Ultra, but it also appears to cover a few more devices. Yeah, we're looking at Galaxy Note 20, Note 20 Ultra, the older devices back to the S10 onward. You would cover the S10 series, the Note 10 series, Galaxy S20 series, the new Galaxy Z Flip, and likely the first generation Z Flip. So the new Z Flip, old Z Flip, and the Galaxy Fold. So like anything since S10 era, you're going to have the same treatment as far as Android is concerned. It doesn't say anything about dates, so you're still probably going to have a pixel advantage for those updates, but at least you're going to get them.
Yes.
And Samsung has made a commitment to this. So this is one area, Will, where if you're in the Android camp and you're doing the bickering and the arguing in the chat and in the in your group texting, whatever you do, or in the comment section, and you're going back and forth, Android, Apple, updates, iMessage, Tim Cook, fancy logo,
Yeah.
nice unboxing things, and ecosystem. That's what this is basically what the Apple people say.
Yep.
Cohesiveness, services. And then on the Android side, openness, software, interpretation, options, pricing. You see where I'm going here?
Yeah. It's always a battle.
For me, OS to OS, there was a certain tipping point where I was on Android and I try every year. Every year I'll go back to iOS and use it, but I just got tuned up to the notification system, to certain aspects of Android that just, and at a certain point, it's also your learned behavior as opposed to, something being superior. And it's a lot like our comparison yesterday with the photos, where it's a personal preference, it's a choice. It's like, do you prefer a cooler color temperature that the Pixel provides, or are you preferring the warmer temp and the increased shadow detail on the iPhone SE? You see, it's not like better or worse. And this is where I'm at with this argument. You're going to know. You're going to try them both. Hopefully you have a chance to, and you're going to know which is more appealing to you. And that's good, and that's fine, and that's brilliant. But if you're in the Android camp and you are having the argument, at least with one of these new Samsung devices, you can say, I got 3 years of updates. Leave me alone.
There you go.
Leave me alone, Apple fanboys. Leave me alone. Maybe every week everyone can leave each other alone, and we can all
They're like, whoa.
we can all bathe in 2020 smartphone glory, and all the models can live in unity and appreciation we can have for one another.
Can we just do that?
We might. Let's try it. Samsung will offer an Xbox Game Pass bundle with the Note 20. So that another piece of news coming out of this event. Do you know anything about this Xbox Game Pass xCloud stuff? Have you been following it?
I think so. It's kind of like Google Stadia.
Yeah, it's
where
their
you're
version of
streaming
Google
games.
Yep, absolutely. Their version of Google Stadia.
They have a controller, and apparently it works well with Samsung. They have like during the launch, they had like a really specific section of Microsoft and Samsung working together. So I mean, it's good. It's good business, I guess.
They're doing good business.
Oh yeah.
And you're the business guy, so I would have to believe you on that. So they're, Samsung continue to try to differentiate themselves in different ways wherever possible. The S Pen it gets the conversation started. The Note series has always been a power flagship style phone, which has attracted gamers. I know I can recall collaborations they've done with gaming companies in the past. I think they had a Fortnite collaboration at one time. And this is it's in line with the branding a little bit here. It's not a gaming phone, but hey, you can game on it, and here's how. So this agreement, the good business that you're talking about, breaks down like this. You're going to get an Xbox Game Pass Ultimate bundle for the Note 20, which includes a Power A Moga XP5-X Plus Bluetooth controller. How about that name for a controller? They should have just kept going at that point. The Power A Moga XP5-X Plus. It sounds wow. Anyway, that's the Bluetooth controller. It's been getting a little bit of attention recently. It allows you to slot in your Note series. It has a clip that comes with it to hold your phone in place, and that controller also has a 3,000 milliamp hour battery, which will charge your device as you're using it, which is pretty cool. And you'll also get 3 months of Game Pass Ultimate included in the package, and that usually costs $15 a month. So it's a kind of a bundle deal here. It's kind of a good idea, a nice little collaboration. and everybody wants a piece of the mobile gaming market. And it turns out, Will, whether it's a gaming phone or a Note series device, everyone's trying to figure out what the optimal way to game on mobile is.
Yes.
And I got to be honest, I haven't put a tremendous amount of time into the controller-based mobile gaming. But when I was messing with the gaming phones, the ROG phone, and prior to that, the Black Shark devices, with the various attachments that give you a controller-like experience but plugged into the sides of the phone, those, you're going somewhere. We're reframing. I thought you were going to go try to grab one of those phones or something.
No.
So I immediately saw an improvement in my gameplay just having some tactile control. And it wasn't to the same degree as having an actually dedicated controller. So yes, I think this is probably the optimal setup for mobile gaming, to have a controller and a clip and then swap in whichever phone you like and a wireless connection, or in this case, the ability to charge your device at the same time. The problem with this implementation is the scale of it. It's bigger than the phone. It's an at-home kind of setup for the most part. It's less portable than the gaming phone with the attachments. But if you're trying to do some extended gaming sessions, there's no substitute for a real controller.
Yes. And it's more comfortable.
Oh, it's way more comfortable. So you're going to, you pop open whatever the game, it doesn't, PUBG, some type of shooter, and you've got the controller ready to go. It's a different story now. And everybody's going to be jealous. So this is a way for you to try out xCloud. The Xbox Game Pass Ultimate Bundle will be available August 21st. You'll get $150 of Samsung credit if you pre-order the Note 20, and you can use that towards the bundle. So gamers got a nice little something in today's Samsung event. iPhone 12 chassis rumored to feature a ring of magnets, perhaps for mounting to a new charging accessory. So we have some images here that leaked, originated from Everything Apple Pro, and got picked up here on 9 to 5 Mac. Apparently, we could see a magnetic wireless charge pad or stand or something for the upcoming iPhone to potentially launch alongside the upcoming iPhone, because these images seem to indicate that we've got some kind of strange looking circular magnet pattern in what appears to be an official upcoming Apple iPhone case, as you can see right there. And so the thinking here is that one of the drawbacks with wireless chargers, unless you have an actual dock style wireless charger, can they see this? Can I bring this over here? Can they see that, Will? I use this every day.
Yeah.
They can see that. That's the OnePlus fast wireless charger. And one of the reasons you end up going for these dock styles is so you can't screw up the position. It's going to land on the coil every time. But when you go with a flat pad, you can misalign the coils, and it can really spoil the experience, the wireless experience. If you've got a magnet there, upcoming iPhone 12, then and they end up finally doing some wireless charge pad, and you just kind of slap the thing near the right spot, and then it bang aligns itself with powerful magnets in a circular formation. It takes away some of the thought that has to go into lining it up. And I know it seems very minor, but these are the types of experiences people have that convince them to adopt new technologies. And I've been fighting the wireless charging war for a decade now. And in the early days, people sucks, I hate it, it's unreliable, or there's not enough coils in the charger, or it's slow, which it's still slower. It's gotten a lot better, but it's still slower than a wire, especially when you're talking about these super VOOC stuff going on. But I just love the convenience of it. And the more convenient it can be, the greater the potential for more people to adopt it and say, yeah, you know what, that's worthwhile. The convenience is worth something to me. It's never going to be as fast, at least not anytime soon, as a wire, but the convenience takes it a step above. So Apple is not unfamiliar with magnets. They're doing all kinds of fancy things with magnets on the iPad Pro with the Magic Keyboard, and all the flipping and flapping that's going on is very magnet driven. And so it wouldn't be, I thought it was odd they gave up on the wireless charger altogether. They were having issues, but you got to believe they may still have something in the pipeline, and then there could be an actual iPhone component to go with that upcoming charge mat. They could sell a ton of charge mats. And it's a way for them to say, hey, this is why you want the Apple branded wireless charge mat. Even though our thing, maybe it ends up still being Qi compatible. They say, look, it's so much better on ours because the magnets, we designed the whole thing to work together in unison for a perfect experience because I'm Federighi. Federighi, you see?
Yeah.
It's all seamless. It's Apple. It's seamless. It's Tim Cook in Congress. We just want to make the best things, not the most things. You see? And when they have the magnets line up and slap together, they're making the case. Anyways, it says that this is going to be for the official iPhone 12 cases. That's what everything Apple Pro says. And it's a very unusual looking magnet system. It actually looks like their headquarters.
Yeah, it's very Apple.
The magnet layout looks like their infinite loop headquarters, whatever that space shuttle they work out of. So they even baked that in there. If the rumor actually turns out to be true, we shall see. We have a Google Pixel 5 leak that seems to reveal a 120 hertz display. So Google is not immune to the fast-paced spec improvements taking place in the smartphone world. They got to have the high refresh too. They're going to ask for a few dollars on this phone. And they just put out what I think will be a popular choice in the form of the 4A. But when you come with the 5, you now have to make the case for people to spend double the money. And one way to do so is on the display. So it's not just the fact that it's going to be 120 hertz. According to display supply chain consultants, Ross Young, who has also leaked tons of smartphone stuff in the past, this device will be the largest of the Pixel series with a 6.67-inch display sourced from Samsung and BOE. So people were a little bit curious as to whether or not what the Pixel variants would look like. Would there be an XL model? Would they do just one model and it could be large? It's been crazy, Will. The scaling up of the smartphones, the size scale. I mean, we're just casually talking about a Note series 6.9 inches, right?
Yeah,
6.9.
I guess it just wraps the whole phone at the point, right?
Yeah, but they're huge. I mean, you even said it's too big for you.
It is. Well, yeah, it is.
Yeah, so these things are getting huge, and no one seems to be safe. The Pixel's not safe. The Pixel 4 XL was a 6.3-inch display, and you're scaling up to 6.67 inches, and it's just like it seems like every flagship has to get bigger. It's still going, and if you want a smaller phone, you have to be looking at one of the more affordable devices. That's where they're small. So whether it's the 4A or the SE or whatever, pick your, even you have to use the S20 right now instead of the S20 Ultra.
Yeah, or the Plus.
Because you want the smaller one, but you give up certain functionality to go with it. So they know what the market wants. They do the market research. Google sends you a survey and say, how big should the Pixel 5 be? They'll send you a survey even before they were working on the thing and expose all kinds of details because they're Google.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, people must want it. 6.67-inch Pixel would be the largest Pixel ever created by a large margin, up from 6.3 inches. 120 hertz will also be the best display ever on a Pixel from a refresh rate standpoint. We saw the 90 hertz. The 90 hertz on the last model was cooking the battery. It was sizzling the battery. So there's a bit of fear that you go with the 120 hertz and the battery hit is so significant that it wasn't worth it. So maybe they can do something cool in software, or maybe they can just slam a huge battery in there.
Yeah.
To go with the huge screen.
Having the option to switch from 120 or 90 or even 60. That would be
for battery life.
Yes.
Yeah. Or slap a huge battery in there.
You can do that too.
You have the biggest pixel ever. I think people will be disappointed if you don't slap a huge battery. Google, if you're listening, it's probably too late. But why don't you slap a huge battery in there? People will be very satisfied. Have you seen the black PS5 DualSense controller images?
No, but I'm just looking at it right now. It looks great.
Imagine that. Look at it. That's magical. So you think it looks better than the white one?
Is this PS color like the same as the white one?
I think so. Yeah. No, actually, by the looks of it, maybe no. No, so I think the artist took a little liberty on that one.
It's a render.
If you scroll down, you'll see the leaked images. Right, bang, there you go. Coming from a Twitter user by the name of Typical Asian, I think. Did I get that right? Anyway, these are your usual, these are your typical leaked images. You have the measurement out there. Once you have the ruler beside the device, that's a proper leak. And so who knows if this is going to be a black variant to go alongside a black console, or if it will just be an accessory you can purchase for the white console. I think a lot of people wished there was a black version of the PS5 coming out. We don't know yet. Down the road, for sure, they're going to do a limited edition, this and that. They just always seem to do that. So I mean, I'd be willing to bet on a black PlayStation 5 at some point, but time will tell. And you just ran a quick Google. You're on fire today.
I was just thinking, like, I saw this rumor of removable plates for the PS5, and the plates are white, so maybe you can change them to black.
Okay.
I don't know, spray painted or something. But
accessories, possibility for accessories to customize the appearance, because it looks like that thing just clips off.
Yeah.
The plate on the top there. Good find, Willie Do. Quite possible. But no matter what they do, I think we can all agree it's highly likely we will see a black and white variant of the controller, whether that's through limited edition consoles or through just buying the controller independently, which you're going to need some extra controllers. You might want to have a black one. So now, the question goes out whether or not you want the black one or the white one. The white one might get a bit grungy. It's possible. Controllers, they get beat up. They get ugly.
Yeah.
So maybe this is for the true gamers who have this thing in their hands 24/7. I like it's still, you still have the blue accent. You still have the new DualSense shape to go with it. But you know what? Well, I'm still going to pick the Stormtrooper one. I'm going to pick the white one. Yeah, okay. I'm going to pick the white one.
Surprising, but...
Call me crazy. Yeah. Just quick reminder on this DualSense controller is going to have the more advanced haptic feedback, adaptive triggers, create button. It's a whole new thing. And you can see a breakdown on when Jeff Keighley had the hands on. It's a more sophisticated controller, whether you pick it up in black, all black, or Stormtrooper black and white scenario. Speaking of Sony, they're doing all right. You see when you're on CNBC and you see bull or bullish. Remember we talked about that?
Yes.
That's good news.
Yeah.
That's good news for a brand
bull.
When somebody says that. Sony shares are at a 19-year high. 19-year high. See, so it's so weird. Sony, one of these brands, childhood favorite of mine. Where I had the Sony stuff.
Shout out Sony.
Shout out Sony. I had everything, man. I had the Sony TV. I had the Sony mini disc. I had the Sony Walkman before that. So, shout out. But it's one of those brands where you felt like, maybe it's in the twilight. Maybe they're in the later years here. Maybe it's hard to see what the next big product is for them. And even with the consoles, that seemed to be fizzling a little bit. Then the pandemic hits and everybody's gaming like crazy, spending a boatload, and the whole thing shifts for them. And people say, Sony, you kidding me? 19-year high. We want that stock. Well, also, people in Wall Street and in the stock market are going nuts in general right now, which there's plenty of examples of that across a wide variety of companies, Tesla included and others. But I just didn't expect to see they're doing this well. 19-year high. They say it could go even higher. Everyone is super excited about the PlayStation 5 that we were just talking about, thinking Sony's going to do better than expected. There's estimates 6 million units, 10 million units right away at launch. But most of this stock market number at the moment has to do with something we were talking about the other day, just game sales, just digital game sales. Let me just get the specific on this. Sony sold 91 million software units in the second quarter. 91 million software units. I love how they call it software units. Those are not cheap. Those are $60. Mm-hmm. $60 times 91 million. You don't want to do that one, Will. That was more than 82% year-on-year rise, which we talked about in a previous episode. And even as the console sales decline because everyone's waiting for the next version. The total number of games sold, 74% were digital, which is the highest number on record. That doesn't leave it's not a lot left over for guys like you to buy the physical disc because you want to have the ritual. Mm-hmm. That not a lot.
Yeah, it's pretty much over.
I tend to think what happens is once the person becomes the digital customer, all of a sudden they're spending so much more because it's too easy.
Yeah.
They just click buy and go on with their day.
Yeah.
And you don't see it and the physical thing doesn't show up, so you don't calculate and you just all of a sudden you owe Sony $1,000. And Sony doesn't mind. And the investors buy a few more shares. And that's how it seems to go. But everyone very excited about Sony, bullish about Sony. And the PS5 is just prepared to take it to another level. So Sony's here to stay. It appears, Will. And console gaming is here to stay. At-home gaming, at-home entertainment. Not such a bad business to be in right now.
No.
And maybe other players have to start thinking about it because of how our consumption habits have changed. Mm-hmm. It was supposed to be all mobile gaming. And then maybe you keep the PC piece for the enthusiasts. And nope, pandemic proves otherwise. Once again, surprises us. And Sony reaping all the benefits. Maybe the Apple game console could make a comeback.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, definitely not. Maybe Samsung should be in the at-home console business. Google's trying with the Stadia piece. Xbox has this xCloud thing. I'm just saying, Will. Yeah. Hey, man, I'm just a guy. I'm just talking.
I hear you.
India widens China app ban to cover more from Xiaomi and Baidu. This is the escalation of the original ban, which we've talked about a little bit here. We have a few more details emerge thanks to Reuters in India. Your favorite news source actually has a branch in India as well. So shout out to them. It was 59 apps in the early days, and then the next ban was 47 more apps, except the 47 more apps weren't listed publicly. So people were kind of curious, okay, who and what is affected? You have Xiaomi's Mi Browser Pro and Baidu's search apps, which are banned. Now, this is meaningful, Will, because I don't know if you knew this, but Xiaomi, kind of a player in India, big time, moving a couple of units.
They're number one, right?
They're number one, right?
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah, I could repeat what you said there. Yeah, I believe they are number one. Although Samsung's coming for it.
Yeah, they're gunning for them.
Yeah, they're gunning. So who knows how long they can hang on with the whole current circumstance that's over there. It's a tough place to be doing business if you're a Chinese company at the moment. But here's the thing. A lot of those Xiaomi devices come preloaded with certain software, including the Mi browser. And the question then becomes, if the app is banned, can you even ship it on the phone?
Right.
Probably not, right?
No.
So now all these external money-making schemes that may have saved you a few bucks or allowed you to subsidize the upfront cost, like the pre-installed software, you don't have that anymore. So now maybe you have to claw back a little more revenue on the sticker price.
Or what about the pre-purchased merchandise in India? Like the Xiaomi phones that had the apps installed already. Are they going to get rid of them?
Oh, you're talking about the stuff that could be sitting in a box in a warehouse?
Yeah.
I doubt that. I think they will have a little leeway there.
Yeah.
But certainly going forward, the whole pre-installed software business is in question. Mm-hmm. Because many Chinese phones you pop open and it has various software installed from the manufacturer that they want you to use, and people end up using it. Mm-hmm. I never do. Always go download Chrome and Gmail. I never do, but people do. Otherwise, they wouldn't do it. They wouldn't install it if nobody ever used it. So this could mean that the Chinese devices that show up in India could actually appear to be a lot more stock Android. It's possible. as they are no longer able to really create these unique experiences on the software side, because so many of their core and key apps are banned or could be banned. Baidu, on the Baidu, by the way, is it's like Google in China. Huge search app. I don't know how big their business was in India, but am I correct about that? But it's internet-related services, products. Let's make sure I'm okay with this one here. Are they the Google of China?
It's a search engine.
Yeah, it's a search engine. So, I gotta trust myself more often here. Yes, big-time search engine. That one's also banned. So, that region, it's a hot region right now. It's hard to figure out, but I read stuff like this, and you know what starts looking appetizing to me?
What's that?
This new Pixel, the Pixel 4a. I say I got no problems with the Pixel 4a. I don't have to worry about all the pre-installed apps. Google's shaking hands with all the people over here that I need them to be shaking hands with. I feel confident this stuff's going to be supported. Vanilla experience. Mm-hmm. You know what? Let me just ask the audience, because I know the Indian fans will watch this clip. How cool, how interesting, how interested are you in this Pixel 4a? I want to know deep down. Is this a big time release? Will it pull you away from the Xiaomis, the Redmis, the Realmes, the OnePlus? Mm-hmm. Is the Pixel 4a the thing you've been waiting for? Does it have the spec list you're looking for the money? And also just being Google branded. Is that enough? Because I don't think the Pixel devices have actually been that popular in India up until this point. This could be the first real play.
Right.
That 349. I'm not sure what the correlation is in rupees, but let's find out. What better way, Will? The audience knows. Mm-hmm. They're down there. They're on the ground. The electric vehicle bubble, minus Tesla, has started to burst. This comes from Jim Cramer. He's the actual business investment stock market guy. It's not you. I hate to break it to you.
Well, yeah, spoiler alert.
Yeah, it's not you. I know I've been telling you that. I've been trying to pump you up over the past few episodes. But now I got to be honest with you. It's this guy, because he's got the dress shirt and he rolls up the sleeves. And he's in New York, I presume. And so there are a few things you could do to improve your business appeal. You could have an outfit like this guy. You scroll down, you'll see his outfit.
Oh.
Yeah, you see?
That's him?
Yeah, if you did this, then it's like he's like the tech expert kind of guy on YouTube, except on TV and for the stock market.
Oh.
Jim Cramer. But it's actually pretty entertaining. I don't know. I'll look at it every so often, but it's so hard to know what to believe. Like in the stock market, it's a lot like tech. There's a lot of hype, and it's hard to know what to invest in. That's sort of where this falls. But obviously, recently, a lot of the hype has been around electric vehicles, particularly Tesla. Tesla, what, $1,500 for the stock, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. Tremendous interest in Tesla. And Tesla, for their part, they came out and announced profits that people didn't expect. And they announced deliveries that people didn't expect. So they have a little bit more reality behind their numbers, although there are many people that still will tell you that the stock price is too high. Mm. But this particular article is actually targeting all the other electric vehicle companies. And for me, it's some sort of, it feels like a mirror of Bitcoin and altcoins. Tesla is the Bitcoin of electric vehicles, and all the other upstarts are the altcoins, including ones that we've covered on the show, like Lordstown, which recently they were acquired in a reverse takeover by a company called Diamond Peak. And then there's others that are on this list as well, like Nikola. You remember we covered Nikola? Yeah. They were going to do a truck as well. These companies have massive multi-billion-dollar valuations, and they might not necessarily have the sales figures to support those types of evaluations. They got a big hype meter on them. And so some people want to check them. They want to say, hey, we got to be more realistic here. We can't have this many players in the space, can we? And it's true. Where there is hype, you got to wonder how much of it is hype. Anytime hype appears, You got to do the filtration process.
Yes.
You got to separate the wheat from the chaff. I believe that's how you say that.
Okay.
Although I've never done such a thing.
I'll hold you to it.
I've never been in the agricultural scene, but that's wheat from the chaff.
Wheat from the chaff.
Yeah, wheat from the chaff. I don't think you want the chaff. You just want the wheat. Let's just verify this. Separate the wheat from the chaff. Sort the valuable from the worthless.
There you go.
Yeah, that was a risky one. Could have gone either way.
I know. We could have been dead.
Anyways, you got to figure out where the real value is and who are going to be the true winners, because it's a lot of players right now. We got the Chinese electric vehicle brands coming with the low price points. We got a billion players trying to sell you trucks. And we got the originator that really pushed the entire marketplace forward in Tesla. And they appear to be for real. Mm-hmm. But of course, Elon isn't just working on Tesla. He's working on plenty more, including Neuralink, which I've been providing updates to the audience on because I'm so curious about it. Neuralink, the implant, the cyborg status for humanity. Very exciting, very interesting stuff. We have a report here on techtimes.com talking about, well, it's a couple of quotes from Musk about the potential for Neuralink to be capable of changing the user's mood on demand, Will. And it threw me for a philosophical loop. What is a mood if you control it, right? A mood is always a reaction or a response or something like this, isn't it? If you are constantly in a good mood, what's a good mood? Because a good mood is always relative to a bad mood.
Yes.
Like night and day.
Yeah.
So I'm very curious how all this works and who's going to submit themselves to a bad mood when they have the option of a good mood. I'm maybe everybody gets bored of a bad mood. No, maybe everybody gets bored of a good mood so that it's no longer a good mood. But a bad mood becomes a good mood because it's different from a good mood.
Huh. Or is there a way to elevate a good mood to even a better mood?
Of course. So anyways, I mean, we have
chasing the dragon.
Yes, you're chasing the mood dragon, which some people do on their own without an implant. There's all kinds of psychological stuff going on out there. People pick the bad mood all the time. I'm curious how people will use this. Originally, of course, in the big picture stuff for this is that it could help people with spinal cord injuries, restore mobility and movement. That its initial target would be people with disabilities, Will, and that's, of course, really important. But according to Elon, the tech could also help in alleviating stress and anxiety by altering and balancing the brain's hormone levels, relieving emotional tension. So now this, to me, seems more like a pharmaceutical, like you take a mood-altering drug, which could change the hormone levels. Mm-hmm. And if you didn't have to take the drug, that could be nice. You just have the implant. Just, I don't know, you hit the button. I don't know, you're in the app. You hit yourself with a little serotonin.
Yeah.
When you need it. I feel like everybody's going to OD on this stuff. You got it on a button.
The first day.
But of course, we're obviously misinterpreting this. There would have to be some sort of measures. There would have to be some sort of way to govern how this all happens. The technology is capable of connecting to the human brain. If it emerges successful and able to produce a working prototype, a chunk load of data bandwidth available for streaming and use in the human brain. The company's team of scientists and researchers said in a published paper last year. So the technology will help in a person's temperament and emotional levels to handle a surge in stress and emotions. In turn, the person using Neuralink's chip will have more control and have better reasoning skills. So here's where I see this potentially working, and I don't know at all if this is possible because, of course, the tech here it's some high-level, sophisticated stuff. God knows how it's going to be operational, the behind-the-scenes stuff that makes this work. But you know that moment when you're really angry? You know that feeling of like tremendous anger and you're not being rational?
All the time. No.
I mean, everybody's had that experience at one point.
Yeah, I hear you.
And it's like an hour later, you hate yourself. You're like, how did I allow myself to get like that?
Yeah.
I'm not saying this happens frequently, but everyone has had the experience at least once.
Like, how did I get so primal?
Yeah, but what was that about? And you have this,
Baby.
you really feel like you want to apologize because you were so irrational. You didn't even really want to behave the way you just behaved. And I'm not saying you did anything super drastic. You were just a jerk, let's say.
Yeah.
And so we all try to cope with that after the fact and apologize to people and all the rest of it. But imagine in that moment, the Neuralink and the app would somehow determine that you were going into that state and hit you with the alternative hormone that would chill you out and immediately put you in that rational mind where you
go on.
where you would say you would get to the place sooner so that you couldn't have the outburst.
Right. But like you said it at the beginning where like you would have to have those kind of like lessons, right? In order to feel bad, you have to feel good.
It's philosophically, this whole thing gets very bizarre.
Yeah.
Because so much of the way we categorize things is based around whatever the norm is. It's based around the contrast, the differences, as we were just talking about, good, bad, up, down, hot, cold. All of these things are relative.
Yeah, it's important to, go through those experiences.
Yeah.
Right? In contrast.
It's like an addict, right? An addict has as much of the thing as they want whenever they want it. Why are they so miserable? Because it stops working.
You eventually feel numb
it stops working. Point. Interesting.
Yeah.
Time will tell. We'll find out. Ninja started streaming again on Twitch.
Oh, yeah.
For the first time since Mixer shut down. He did that one test stream on YouTube, and it was all kinds of speculation that maybe he was going to be at YouTube permanently or that some deal had been signed, although there were no details about it, no press release, nothing. It looked experimental to me, but I assumed there would be tremendous interest in trying to lock this guy down to one platform or the other, though in a way, streaming on Twitch for him still feels like the right move. Because that's where he built his fan base. It's where the biggest audience lives, at least for live. And he can still upload stuff to YouTube, no problem. He can be in both places, satisfy both groups. But anyways, he hopped on Twitch. I don't think he said anything specific about being there permanently. I saw a tweet yesterday insinuating that he was going to be there. He was near 100,000 viewers 15 minutes after it went live, this Twitch stream, and his YouTube stream from last month has 4 million views. Now, of course, on YouTube, your live stream figures roll into your view count at a later point, and then new views also contribute to that. So this is not like some sort of official deal. It's not like he got $100 million from Twitch to come back. That could have happened, but there's no announcement, and you assume there would be if that were the case. They would really want to let people know where to find him. Mm-hmm. And we're in a really curious time in streaming after the post-Mixer shutdown where it's hard to know what the value of these guys is. Twitch let go of Disrespect. Still, we don't know exactly what it was that he did. And he hasn't shown up anywhere else yet to this point. Ninja's been kind of off the map from a streaming perspective. Shroud as well. Very weird time from a streaming perspective, but this latest stream from Ninja would seem to indicate to me that we may be going back to the good old days. Everybody just pops up back on Twitch, except for Disrespect, who appears to be interested in exploring things other than streaming as well. Yes. So who knows where he shows up, but it appears there's an audience for Ninja. They showed up, like I said, 100,000 viewers in 15 minutes. People were waiting for him to show up, pop up somewhere. It's newsworthy. It does affect the industry. It's a big deal for streaming. So you can find him on Twitch, it appears, at least in the case of this particular stream. Oh, here we go. This is the exciting story that you and I were waiting for today. Coke with coffee will hit U.S. stores next year. So the stuff that we've covered here on the show, I'm always interested in these unique beverages that, particularly the ones that are not available, that are from other geographic regions. I don't know why it's a picture of smart water. Scroll down a little bit and you'll see a wonderful picture of the Coca-Cola with coffee. I talked about this when I first heard about it. It was available in a couple of different markets. Brazil, actually they're probably listed in this article right here. Brazil.
Israel?
Isn't Israel where ours came from?
Yes.
Yeah. Japan actually was one of the first ones as well. Okay. Anyways, a number of markets, and this is what Coke's doing now when they're trying to innovate on some new drink. Well, any beverage company, they're testing it to see how it does in some markets to determine if it's worthwhile to launch it out elsewhere. You don't want to flop, Will. You don't want to invest a bunch of marketing money if you don't know people even like the thing.
Yes.
You want to put it out there in smaller ways and see if people like it, and then roll it out into bigger markets. Now, Coca-Cola, the flagship stuff, hasn't been doing that well. A lot of their growth has been in the seltzer waters and things that we've talked about on this show. But this product apparently is doing really well. Coca-Cola plus coffee. This product apparently has Coca-Cola to start with the coffee aftertaste. And it's got the caffeine in it, so you're going to get the jolt, like an energy drink or something like that. And it's a diversification for Coke to look at these new beverage opportunities as people's tastes are changing. You know, coffee's doing really well right now.
Oh, yeah.
And Starbucks, they have drinks in a can. So anyway, there's 3 flavors: caramel, dark blend, vanilla, and I guess just the regular plus coffee, 4 flavors. And then there's a 0 one with like the no sugar component to it. Now let's just talk about the caffeine component for a minute. This Coca-Cola plus coffee has 69 milligrams of caffeine per can compared to 34 milligrams for a regular Coke. So it is twice the caffeine boost. That is some serious caffeine.
So what's that compared to like a cup of coffee?
It's like double. I think depending how big your coffee is.
Okay.
But it's a lot of caffeine, and it's synthetic caffeine, so it hits a bit different as well. As we've talked about in the past, that study that we referenced on the show, this caffeine is going to hit a bit different. By the way, a lot of people don't know this. A regular Diet Coke has 12 more milligrams of caffeine compared to a regular Coke. So for those that were curious why they might be a little more amped after a Diet Coke. Anyways, it's still a sugary drink, to be clear. But we're going to give it a taste test here on the show, courtesy of a viewer who actually sent it in because we couldn't get our hands on it. And up until this point, it was not available.
Yeah.
In the U.S.
Who was the one that sent it, Jack?
Jack, do you remember the viewer's name? Shout out. There was actually no note, believe it or not. I think that the viewer's just happy enough to see it on the show.
Yeah.
So shout out to our fan in Israel who hooked up the Coca-Cola Plus coffee. This is an early taste test pre-launch in the United States, which is coming soon, by the way. I should actually put the date in here because people will be curious. Next year, January, early next year. So let's see what we get here, Will. Let's do the taste test. Very exciting. I'm going to crack mine. There we go. Ooh. Smell is pretty much Coke. Smell is Coke.
Do you get a hint of coffee at all?
Maybe a tiny hint of coffee. This is riveting stuff. Now, I notice you picked the different one. You have the zero. So I have the standard. You have the 0, 3, 2, 1. You know what?
You like it?
You know what? I'm realizing now Coca-Cola kind of had a coffee thing to it. Like they somehow merge really naturally together.
Yeah, I kind of agree. Cola and coffee.
It's a tiny coffee. I got to be clear, though. It's a tiny coffee piece. Mm-hmm. Like the coffee part of it is not overwhelming. You know what it's like if you've ever had a coffee crisp? You know the chocolate bar?
Right, yeah.
Coffee crisp? It's a hint. And I don't think a lot of people have tried that because I believe that's not available in all regions, the coffee crisp chocolate bar. But check it out. It exists. It's got a wafer in it, a chocolate coating.
And this has caffeine in it.
Does it?
It tastes like coffee.
It does taste like coffee. It's got a really nice coffee flavor to it. And I've always been a fan of the coffee crisp. It's interesting, a coffee crisp, if you have a coffee crisp with a coffee. That's a good time. Double the coffee.
Oh, coffee flavored.
Yeah, coffee
Soft
flavored.
candy.
So, oh wow, it's older than I thought. The product is marketed by Nestle Canada. So yeah, it's a Canadian. The bar originated in the United Kingdom in the 1930s. Well, later renamed Chocolate Crisp. The bar was introduced to Canadians as Bis Crisp in 1938. A coffee variation was added to the line. In 1988, Nestle acquired Rowntree's, including its Canadian operation and the Toronto chocolate factory where the bar is produced. As of 2014, the product is marketed by Nestle Canada. I don't know if they have this elsewhere. Oh, availability outside Canada. No. So people don't even know the coffee crisp. Anyways,
Australia.
to get to the point here, the coffee crisp is a chocolate bar with a real hint of coffee. It's not an overwhelming coffee flavor. So if you're not into the strong coffeeness, this gives you just a little piece of it.
Yes, it's delicious, by the way.
It is absolutely delicious. And this is exactly that. This is the cola version of the coffee crisp. It gives you a tiny punch of coffee only at the end. And it's cola up until that. And you have the carbonation and everything else.
Right. There's almost like a hint of chocolate as well.
It's
now
very
that you
chocolate.
mention it.
It's a chocolate component. Anyways, I'm a fan. I think they're going to do well with it. And I can understand why it's been popular in other markets. It's still a sweet beverage. It's a treat, to be clear. But they did something. Coca-Cola did something here. Who would have thought? And our last story of the day, you probably already knew this, Will. Nobody's buying fast food breakfast anymore.
What?
You just bought it today.
Yeah, that's my everyday.
Yeah.
McDonald's.
Yeah, their sales are way down on the fast food
Really?
breakfast. Yeah, and apparently it's because the commute. No one's commuting, or a lot fewer people are
makes sense.
commuting.
Yep.
And the big supplier of the purchases for the fast food breakfast is the commuter. They stop by the drive-through, or they go past the small little shop, and they pop in, and it's a breakfast sandwich, and it's a coffee, or it's a bagel. It could be a breakfast bagel.
Love bagel.
There's so many options with the fast food breakfast. But yeah, apparently this is another casualty of the pandemic. So all the major ones, McDonald's, you have the McDonald's CEO says breakfast prior to the pandemic was the only part of their business that was growing. It was just popping off. You remember when McDonald's launched the all-day breakfast?
Yes.
People were loving it.
The McCafe.
McCafe. They had a bunch of stuff going on. And so anyways, this is affecting McDonald's, Panera, Dunkin', Starbucks. It's a real downturn on the breakfast because of the pandemic. And so I can't say I'm surprised. I'm curious what people are doing. Are they making bagels at home? Are they brewing coffee at home? I'm doing a little bit more of that myself. And I can't say it's the worst thing in the world either.
No.
So the pandemic has had some strange casualties. And it turns out the fast food breakfast is one of those casualties.